Hey guys, it's Travis from the Third Gear Speed Shop with part 5 in our dirt track, Freddy Smith's dirt track Camaro build series. I did not get a video out last week, I apologize. So what we're going to see today is actually 2 weeks of progress. So this is part 5, week 6, if that makes any sense. So before we go to the bench and look at the progress on the build, I just wanted to mention a comment from I received from Dave at Styrene Replicas, and I appreciate your comment, Dave. He wanted to know about building roll cages, my process for designing, cutting, measuring, and fitting roll cages together. So appreciate that comment. I'm going to be talking a lot about roll cages today in this video, and I'm thinking about maybe doing more of a hands-on tutorial. That'll probably be in a different video altogether, just because it would take up too much time in this one, and feels like it's more of a hands-on type of a deal. So I'm thinking about putting that together. I don't exactly know when, but be on the lookout for that video. So let's jump over to the bench and I'll show you the Camaro. Okay, so here's where we are. Like I said earlier, it's 2 weeks worth of progress here. So what we're going to be seeing is 2 weeks worth of work. We'll just start with the body on the frame, and you can see I removed the hood earlier today, and I just took some tape. I'll show you. This is what it's like 2 or 3 thicknesses of this blue tape. So the hood was in place like that, all molded in, and I just, I had my tape on here, 3 thicknesses thick, and then I just took my knife, brand new blade on my knife, and just very carefully followed the edge of this tape. With it being doubled up like that, it gives the blade something to rest against. And still be flexible to go down into all the nooks and crannies of the hood. So I just went very carefully over every line, and just got a nice score line, and then I was able to take the tape off and just work those lines very carefully until it snapped through. Took a little while, but it definitely pays off in the end when you're trying to remove these hoods. So I got the hood off, and it's fitting pretty good. That was my last thing I was doing this morning, was trying to get the hood to fit without any irregularities. It's sitting a little high right here, but I'll show you how I'm gonna resolve that in a minute. Now with the body, I actually, from the back side, these tabs right here, if you can see, one here and one here, not 100% realistic, but it's the best way I can think of to get the front edge of the hood to sit in the body, and then the rear edge is, and I'll get to this in a minute, but the firewall. So you can see the firewall has like a hump in the middle, and that hump translates to the hump in the hood. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but when the hood is on, the contour of the firewall and the hood match up, and I'm trying to get this sanded to where it lays down a little bit flatter on this edge of the hood. So that was the last thing I was doing. Before we get into the roll cage stuff, I'll just let you know some stuff I did to the body. On the My reference photos looks like it has some sort of rolled edge to the sheet metal. I'm pretty sure these cars in the 81, definitely in the late 70s, still had a metal roof. Like the roof, A-pillars, and all of this piece was still, metal from a stock Camaro. Everything else was fiberglass. I think I'm correct on that. I could be wrong, but it looks like this piece right here was metal, some sort of sheet metal fabricated. And if you can see how it kind of loops around the roll cage, so you don't really see that rear hoop if you're looking to the side of the car. It just kind of loops around and catches. If you look at this side, the driver's side, if you look all the way through to the driver's side, it sort of loops around and catches that rear hoop. So that was one piece of body work I did. I also noticed in my reference material that the A-pillars are actually cut right here and kind of attached to the A-pillar bars. So I'm going to disconnect the A-pillar from the door, and then I'll be able to glue the A-pillar to the body to the bar, and then it's like wrapped with tape. So that leads me to believe also that the A-pillar and the hood were all metal. Everything else was done in fiberglass. Again, I could be wrong about that, but that's the way it looks like in the photos, so I'm going to go with that. I also reworked these rear wheel wells. They were just like flat pieces of styrene, and the more I looked at it, it just didn't look like a rear. It didn't look flared at all. It was just a flat piece, and I like the way that it looks now that I've flared it. I don't know if you can get an idea of the flare on it. But basically what I did, and I have a template here, I basically cut out a piece of paper, and then I cut the shape that I wanted, traced it, and then I cut lines into this crescent shape so that it would conform, and I could conform and bend it into the shape I wanted, and so that becomes more clear here when you see it in place. So these lines allow me to bend it into place. And then I went back on this side with just a sliver of brow piece, and then molded the joint in with my trusty sprue goo, and did some sanding, and looks pretty good. So probably going to need to do a little bit more sanding, but anyway, that's that. And then the last thing I did on the body before I get to the frame is I kind of got overzealous with when I cut out the window. If you can see, I don't know if you can see this well, right in here I got a little overzealous, so I went in and filled that in. I put a piece of round stock just to give it kind of a rolled shape, so that when you put you were able to see the roll bar earlier, and now you can't see, if I put it onto the from the side, you can't see that roll bar. Well, you can if I do that, but if you're looking at it from the side, you can't see that roll bar. Obviously, if you're looking at it from below, you can. Anyway, so I'm pretty happy with the way, the body fits on the frame really nice. I got these bars coming out where they're supposed to. My A-pillars line up with the A-pillar on the body just like they're supposed to. One interesting thing about this car is that the firewall, the the gauges are built into the firewall, and the photos of the car show that the dash got a separate piece here. The dash is actually, I'm going to be putting that in place later, but the dash goes in like that, and the gauges are actually up on the firewall, and you've got this long dash piece before you even get to the gauges. So that was a little interesting. And when the body's on, you know, the gauges are up into the under the hood. So that was kind of cool. Oops. And I wanted to replicate that the best I could. So that's why this piece is separate, because this is aluminum sheet, and then this is going to be painted the rest of the body color. So I'm also I've got the tin work here. That'll be a painted aluminum. That can be pulled off, and I've got this piece that slides up under here. Had it in there earlier, but yeah, that slides in there like that. So this comes out, and then this comes out. I don't know if I can get it out and talk at the same time, but there we go. Yeah, so this pulls out. These will be all painted aluminum, all these pieces here, and then put on once the body is painted its color. So working my way back down to the actual roll cage. It's pretty much done except for these sidebars. I'll probably add a few little bars here and there, but the core of the roll cage is done. I think the last time when we left off, I had built the rear clip and the rear bumpers and left it at that. So what I did first was built this rear hoop, this piece right here that goes around the back, and I drilled 2 holes. I don't know if you can see that. There's one there, and then there is one there, and I drilled 2 holes to accommodate the bar. You can drill all the way through. I did not this time, but I could have. I probably should have. And then you could adjust the height of your, you know, you can leave these long, and you can adjust the height, roof height of your rear hoop, and then just clip the bottoms off. So that's probably the way I should have done it, but I just drilled it down about halfway through, and I measured the height of, you know, my roof, and then bent up one piece. You can see where I marked it. There's a mark there, there's a mark there. I bent up my rear hoop, and then after that has been in place, I bent up the top halo. That's this piece right here, and I just stacked some tires up to get it to level. I don't really know of a scientific way to do that. And then from there, I just measured real carefully my, you know, the body from the with the body on the frame. I measured from the frame up to where the first bend in the A-pillar is going to be, and then just carefully bend it up. A lot of measuring, measure twice, bend once type of thing. Trial and error, and just bending pieces of 1/16 styrene, and I think I have a package of that. Yeah, I'm sorry, not 1/16, 1/16, which is 1.6 millimeter, which is roughly a little over 1.5 inches, and I like using evergreen. It bends up real easily. Does have a bit of a memory, so when you bend it, it tends to want to you know, go back to where its original shape. Also like to fish mouth the joints, which means that you know, the bar is sort of got a shape like this, you know, like where where it meets up with the bar, like, you know, the bar, and then the bar that you're attaching to sort of got a fish mouth shape to increase that surface area. And I just do that by, you know, I've got a, if this were my rod, I have a, let me, if I can find it here, I've got a round file. I just lay it on the table and file it like that until I get a nice fish mouth, you know, shape on it, and it goes into the next tube pretty easily. And then I use the liquid cement to marry everything, weld everything together. Let's see, so after I did that, I did the front bars, and then, like I said, I did the firewall. So these had to go through the front bars. The hardest part about this whole roll cage was getting these front bars through the firewall at the proper height, and, you know, the height up and the height and the width over from the firewall, getting that hole right where it needs to be. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, this hole right here, I made a miscalculation and had to make that hole a lot bigger than the actual rod. So I ended up having to make these like plates to cover up the bigger hole, which, you know, I did that on the other side too to just make it look even. These came out okay. They're not, again, if you look at it dead on, they're not 100% even, but with the engine in there, you're not going to be able to see, you know, the difference. But these holes came out a little bit better than these. And I also had to put in my hole for the steering shaft. Got that in there. And then this little piece was made by two pieces put together, and then a tube right there. I don't know if you can see that the steering shaft is going to slide up through once all the steering is in place and everything. So on this side of the firewall, I have my gauges where I'm going to put small wires and route those wherever they need to go. And I'm sort of faking it because on this piece is going to be painted aluminum, and I have the other side of my gauges on this piece. So hopefully when I get everything lined up and sandwiched in and glued up together, you're not really going to notice that, you know, the gauges aren't one piece all the way through. If you have an eagle eye, you'll notice it, but hopefully not. I might just file these down all together and just put the decals straight onto the face of this dash, which is probably what I'm going to do to alleviate that misalignment. But that was the only way I could really think of to have these in two pieces, and then to have my gauges in there and everything. But anyway, it's kind of what I came up with. I'm sure there's a better solution, but that's pretty much it. I know this is probably a longer video than usual, but like I said, it's 2 weeks worth of work, and for 2 weeks, I think I got a lot done. This part of the process is of the build is my favorite part, building roll cages. It really starts to come together. The car really starts to kind of become, you know, take on a life of its own and really look like a race car. Before it was just, you know, a flat pan with the rear, front and rear clip. Now it's starting to actually take shape, and I can get the body on it, and I can kind of, you know, make sure that the body and the frame are aligned, and really does fit together nicely, and I'm really proud of that. you know, the top bar here is you know, up into the roof the way it's supposed to be. You know, the firewall. I did actually have to cut the trans tunnel, and so the firewall is set back considerably, given its original location was like somewhere up in here, and then the original seat location would have been somewhere up here, but everything on the Camaro is slid back. So but yeah, I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. It's lining up well, it's fitting well, the body's coming along. I just have to figure out the rear spoiler, and then cut all of my panel lines and rivet all of those, which is tedious, but it's just a lot of busy work. It's not that hard. So the next part of this process will be the front steering and getting the rear end mocked up, blocked up, and making sure that the front end and rear end are the same, getting a ride height established. So our next video, we're going to be talking more about suspension pieces. I got some scratch built suspension parts I'm going to be doing. We're going to be building some coilover springs from scratch. We got to get some shock mounts made for the rear. I'll put this bar in so that we could mount up a pair of rear shocks to that, and then shock mounts to the rear end axle tubes. So next video, I think we'll be talking pretty much exclusively about suspension, rear end, front end, and then probably get into some engine stuff after that. We're going to be building some headers and getting the engine fitted in, and from there it just becomes a lot of smaller details. So the bigger pieces are done, are getting done, and we're sort of fine-tuning down to smaller and smaller detail work. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Sorry I didn't get a video out last week, but hopefully this will make up for 2 weeks worth of work. And yeah, we're just going to keep plugging away on this, and next week we'll be looking at some steering stuff. So thanks for tuning in. Week 6, episode 5, and thanks for watching, everybody.